Speaker 6 is code 273, performing The Property Known as Garland.
The night is bitter, the stars have lost their glitter. Come on, Judy! Come on! Will you tell them that I am not going on tonight? Well, just give them their money back. Well, of course we're sold out. I'm Judy Garland. They just want to hear me singing Over the Rainbow anyway. Well, I have done other films, you know? And besides, the Munchkins were all drunks. There's this one little Munchkin, and well, he kept asking me out on this date. Now, I couldn't say, you know, I can't date you, you're a dwarf. So I said, oh, no, thank you. I really don't think my mother would approve. And he said, well, bring her along, baby. There's plenty of me to go around. And, you know, eventually, he fell into one of the toilets at the studio. And we never heard from him again, so. What? Now that is a true story.
Her talent is legendary. Her life story, anything but a fairy tale with a happy ending. Judy Garland once asked, if I am such a legend, why am I so lonely? In attempting to answer this question, playwright Billy Van Zandt takes us backstage at her final concert and down the yellow brick road of her life. In The Property Known as Garland by Billy Van Zandt.
You know, it's a chore being Judy Garland. You know how many people demand things of me? Right about me. How many drag queens tried to imitate me? How many people that tell my children that they know Judy Garland? Poor Judy, she just tried to kill herself over 4,000 times, you know. Well, I'm not as helpless as people think. I'm really not. I'm not in Kansas anymore, folks. But nobody wants to hear that. No, I'll always be Dorothy Gale. You know, I don't understand that. I don't. But it's fine. It's fine. No, I love my fans. I do. Don't think that I don't love them. But I am so sick of saying thank you to you, to my mother, and to Mr. Mayor. Yes, Mr. Louis B. Mayer, who ran MGM, used to refer to me as the fat one. Oh yes. And hunchback, too. You see, this little girl, she used to be a fat little hunchback. Look at what a star I have turned her into. You know, my entire career, people have been trying to find ways to make me pretty. They put rubber pieces in my nose, and they capped my crooked teeth, and they changed my hair. They even built me an ass. You know, some of my form-fitting gowns and everything. Well, I can say ass, can't I? Okay. Well, you know, I may have $1,000,000 legs, but in some trunk somewhere, I also have a $600 ass. So, not at Metro, you know. My primary function was to work. As long as I was working, the investment in the property known as Garland paid off. What if I got fat? I couldn't work. So for 13 years, it was chicken soup and water.
Take a good look at yourself, Judy. Do you want to be a star, or do you want to be big and fat?
Back home. Yes, in Grand Rapids, my father, he owned this little theater, and me and my sisters, we'd perform vaudeville, you know. Well, eventually I started performing solo. My sisters didn't enjoy that much. But to be honest, they just weren't very good. A few years later, we moved to Lancaster, California, where I had to survive. My mother cheating on my darling father, a ghastly man who would eventually leave his paralyzed, stroke victim wife for my mother. I know what goes on between you and Mr. Gilmore. How could you do this? Your father is a homosexual, Judy. Why do you think we left Grand Rapids? Imagine telling a 5-year-old girl that about her father. There's the real Wicked Witch of the West. You know, a few months after I signed with Metro, my daddy, he went to the hospital with what turned out to be spiral meningitis. Now, I didn't know how bad it was, or I would have spent every second by his side. But Mother didn't tell me. Right before I went on air, I got this phone call saying that they were placing a radio beside my daddy's bed. And right then, I knew that Daddy was dying. And so I went on. And I sang for my daddy for the last time. Your eyes make the sky seem blue again. What else could I do again but keep repeating through and through, I love you. Daddy died the next morning. On my mother's birthday. You know, life's very peculiar. Yes, Mother married Mr. Gilmore on November 17th, 1939. It was the anniversary of my father's death. You know, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Is it any wonder I ended up in a nut house? Yes. It was right outside downtown Compton. And in the entire time I was there, my mother only called once to say, there's something wrong with you, Judy. There's something wrong with your head, Judy. Will you wicked old witch? The only nice thing that I will say about my mother is that she taught me not to be cruel to my own children. Oh, hello, darlings. Oh, yes. You look at those children. And I did that alone. Yes, I did. I did. I take the Wizard of Oz very, very seriously, you know. I believe in the idea of the rainbow. And I have spent my entire life trying to get over it. But I'll tell you something. I think I finally made it. You see, I was put on this earth to give my heart and my soul to my audiences. And they love me. Hunchback, crooked teeth, insecurities all. And you'll never know that kind of love, Mama. That's the one thing that you could never take away from me. That love is mine. I love them, and I know it. I know. I need them. But they need me too.